Hi, I'm Dr. Natalie of Dr. GoFigure, and this episode is on our relationship with food. It's probably the crux as to why we put weight on. Imagine you've just had a really busy day at work, you're a little bit hacked off, you're feeling tired, a bit drained. You walk through the door and before you know it, you've put your hand into the biscuit tin and all resolve of having a good day has disappeared instantly. We're also slaves to our hormones. I hate to say this, but we are. Maybe you're a little bit premenstrual, your progesterone is rising, and quite frankly, it's just making you a compulsive eater. Now, men, don't turn red and switch off thinking this isn't about you. It is about you because you are also driven by testosterone. This is your main hormone, and as it decreases, you'll tend to find that your muscle mass decreases, your energy, your mood decreases, and with it comes weight gain. So one way or another, hormones do affect all of us. Maybe you've had a rubbish day. Maybe your boss was a complete nightmare. Maybe you had that customer from hell who wound you up. Maybe you had an argument with the kids. By the time you've come home, you literally don't care anymore. It might be a bottle of beer, a glass of wine, or a massive piece of chocolate cake. Day is ruined. Who cares anymore? I think most of us can relate to all of the above scenarios, and it probably all comes back to how we were brought up. If you think about it, most of our social situations will revolve around food. Why didn't you come for dinner? We're going to have a barbecue at the weekend. Or when you're a child, your birthday parties all had some scrumptious birthday teas. There had to be jelly and ice cream and cake, and there wouldn't have been a morsel of vegetable on that table. It was all about overloading yourself with sweet, yummy stuff. Food is definitely seen as a treat. It would even be things like we'd be going on holiday and you'd be begging mum and dad for an ice cream and they'd almost certainly say yes because we're all on holiday, and that's what holidays are about. They're about treats, it's about making memories, and food would always be a massive part of that. I am guilty of this too. You know, we go on holiday, I'll be offering my children ice cream, or sometimes I'll have to bribe them with something, or sometimes they're not feeling great. So, I might say, well, do you want a hot chocolate and a hug or something like that? It is so intertwined with how we get brought up. We associate oftentimes food with happy times, happy memories. And even now, knowing what I know about nutrition, I still do the same things for my children. If we establish in our psychology that food is seen as a treat, no wonder when we're feeling low or down or feel that we need to pick me up, we will oftentimes head for the treats. It will be the cakes and the biscuits and the ice cream or the alcohol, whatever it is. We're kind of conditioned to have those kind of behaviours because that's what's going to make us feel better, because from our childhood, that's what made us feel better. But we need to start breaking the cycle and thinking differently about how we can acknowledge that we don't feel so great, but what we could do instead to make us feel better. When you eat emotionally, you know that you're not hungry. It's not an empty tummy that you're trying to fill up. It could be a feeling of loneliness or frustration or whatever it is. You have to identify the trigger that's causing you to reach for that treat that you think is going to make you feel better. Now, we know increasingly loneliness is becoming a much bigger thing for people, and I think especially after the lockdowns of COVID, many people were socially isolated. If you are somebody that feels lonely, you have to go and find ways to start connecting with a community of people. You have to start thinking about, how can I start getting involved with more people in my life? I think hobbies are a great way of doing it. Sport can be a great way of doing it. But I think sitting alone on your couch and feeding your loneliness with hunger is not the way. So you have to be proactive here. You have to think, I've got to get off this couch. I've got to go out and start meeting people. If you think you could be interested in knitting or cycling or drawing or any of those things, the first thing, honestly, to help lose weight if you are feeling lonely is to go and find something to do and do it with a community of other people. We are social animals. We are being brought up in tribes. We are still tribal. And you need to go and find a tribe of people that make you feel fabulous, will fill you up, because that is far better than sitting on your own on a couch just feeding a loneliness that you actually need to proactively sort out. So human connection is absolutely necessary. If you're not feeling brave enough to go and join the knitting club or the fine arts club or whatever it is, then make 10 minutes every day to connect with somebody in your life that you want a closer relationship with. It could be your mum, your dad, a cousin, a best friend, but you have to find that 10 minutes a day just to get that social connection, because that is the start of improving self-esteem. And self-esteem is also the start to improving how you're going to treat yourself in the future. We've also talked about stress and how that affects our eating habits. So if you're stressed, your cortisol goes up, it stops the insulin from working, it floods your bloodstream with sugar, so you've got lots of available energy, but it starves your cells of energy, so they tell you to eat more. And pretty much when you're stressed, you're always going to be looking for those high calorie foods, because that's what your body is conditioned to find. So another thing that we have to think about is, how are you going to improve your stress? We did talk about this in a previous episode. Stress is absolutely detrimental, not only to our weight, but also to our lifestyles. And I think it is curtailing many people's lives early because of the amount of damage we do when we are under stress. So again, it's not okay to talk about how stressed we are. We actually have to look at what makes us stressed and start removing those triggers. So have a think about where the stress in your life is coming from and what you can do to start insulating yourself against it or removing it from your life. It is not something that we can keep pushing down the road. It's something we have to address right now. And going for the cookie cupboard is not going to help your stress, because it's just going to add to it. You're going to put weight on, and that in itself becomes stressful. So what can we do when we're in that moment of overwhelming stress? You know, your mind is racing, maybe your heart's racing, maybe your breathing is more shallow. You have got to stop whatever it is that you're doing. You're just in a pattern. You're in a stress pattern at this point in time, and you've got to stop the pattern. Now, crazy ways of doing this. You can jump around. You can shake your arms out. I actually like to sometimes just think about brushing the stress off me. Literally, get rid of it. Just brush it away. Okay, anything to stop the pattern of a cycle of stress, because you do know when you're stressed or whatever it is that you happen to be feeling, you end up in a loop. You just loop round and round and round, and often round and down, round and down. It's dreadful for you. So you are going to have to think about how to break that pattern of stress by doing something totally different. For long-term stress strategies, obviously, I mean, I've spoken before about my love of walking, and especially dog walking. For me, that has been an absolute saving grace. But things like yoga and meditation are absolutely vitally important. Another way I found to deal with stress was to start journaling. Obviously, I'd read all about it and listened to other people telling me about how beneficial it was, but I wasn't sure how it was going to work. Anyway, I decided I was just going to put my thoughts down on paper. It's incredibly freeing, because anything that's in your head, you know, that keeps going around your head and you haven't really got a solution to, you just write it down. And by actually writing it down, it felt like either a release, so that you were releasing the energy that was caught there, or writing it down, it became something different and you could look at it maybe a bit more rationally. Whatever was happening in that moment when I was journaling has massively helped me move forward. I get rid of a lot of problems sometimes when I'm journaling. I just write them down, and somehow my thoughts become more congruent, and I can see a way through whatever was bothering me. So if you have a lot of stress and pressures on you, the act of writing it down can be incredibly liberating. So there's all kinds of social pressures about how we present ourselves to the world. Lots and lots of Instagrammable people look fabulous, but we now know that actually a lot of it's fake. So that in some way is helpful. However, I think in the moment you can still feel pretty lousy when you see some glorious person parading themselves around a beach and you're thinking, I don't necessarily think I could look like that. Not only do we have that body image pressure, we now have added pressure that people are now sharing everything they eat or cooked or prepared, and all of a sudden whatever you've created that evening for dinner didn't look quite as good as the other person's, and again it gives you this feeling of less than. You have to be extremely careful about the kind of content that you are consuming. You have to be thinking about the content I'm going to be looking at has got to be beneficial to me. You know, you have to protect your mind against bad thoughts, feeling less than, feeling inadequate. And if the content you're consuming currently isn't putting you in a great space, then I would strongly suggest cutting it out. Personally, I'm not a big social media person. Well, in fact, I'm not a social media person at all. I didn't really understand Facebook or Instagram, and I never really got on board with it. I was always too busy and felt like I didn't have any time to be doing those kind of things. It's not that I'm not interested, but the people I'm interested in, I have a personal connection with. So if, for instance, my dog did something, or I want to share some news, I will pretty much either be super old school and call them for a chat, or maybe I'll just share a photo or send them a text. But it's much more individual and it's much more personal, and it suits me because actually I think I'm a pretty happy person. So I think the key here is we've got to treat ourselves with kindness and not with food. I've got this really empowering thought, and it's that life is a journey, but I want to be constantly improving and becoming a better version of myself on every stage of my journey. So I have got massive dreams and ambitions about who I want to become, the kind of business I want to run, but I'm not there yet. If I was there now, I'd have everything I wanted, and I don't. So I have to improve myself every day. I have to make changes to allow myself to become the person that has the dreams and ambitions come true for them. If your dream and ambition is that you want to become slimmer or fitter or happier or healthier or a better mum or a better partner, then you have to start making the changes now, because otherwise nothing changes. If you stay where you are, you'll never get to be the person that you want to become. And I think this is really just such a wonderful thought, because once again, your whole life's dreams and ambitions can all happen for you, but you just have to make the changes now. You have to believe that they're going to happen, and you have to work towards those things. So if you've got a picture, maybe you used to be slim, or maybe there's a picture of how you'd like to look, have that picture, have it by your bedside or next to your bathroom mirror, and keep focusing on that's what I want to become, and keep making those changes and moving towards that goal. Remember that being kind to yourself is really the first part of this journey. There are so many people in this world that can put you down. You don't need to join them. You need to be the one person that's the advocate for you. The person thinks you're flipping brilliant and everything you do is wonderful, and you're just moving towards becoming an even better version of yourself. Oscar Wilde has got the best quote ever, and it's "Be yourself because everybody else is taken." I love that quote. You are here to be you, to be uniquely you. You've been blessed with unique talents, but you've got to let the world see them. So don't be horrible to yourself. Be kind to yourself and see what a flipping massive entity you are and what you've been put on this earth for. And honestly, start releasing some of the inner power that you have. Become the person that you want to become, because the world needs you. A major part of your journey to losing weight is actually to start loving yourself. If you think about how you treat people that you love, how you cherish them, how you want to be with them, the things you do for them, if you start thinking about yourself in the same way, you will start treating yourself differently. You'll start respecting your body more, and you'll start wanting to love and cherish that too. So your homework tonight is, please, I want you to go home and I want you to strip off everything and stand and look at yourself in the mirror. And I know that this can be a truly uncomfortable exercise, because for many years you've probably berated yourself and hated yourself. I know so many of my patients just don't want to look at their bodies in the mirror. But the reality is you've been blessed, because I think somebody worked out that there is a 1 in 400 trillion chance of ever getting born, okay? The exact sperm had to meet the exact egg, and then your body had to grow and develop in your mother's womb in a perfect, beautiful way that created you. And the chances of that happen are so minuscule, but you're here and you're here to be celebrated. So I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to just, all of those things you've taken for granted or even you've hated, look in the mirror and appreciate them. You have got a brain and a mind. You have got lips and eyes, you've got hands, you've got strong legs, you've got lungs that work, a heart that beats. Just start looking at it from a completely different way. Not to hate, but to love, to appreciate the fact that you're here, and every single day you're here, you can be here and contribute and start living your life. And I literally want you to take out any negative emotion. I don't want that, you're a big fat pig, I hate my bottom, why do my legs look like that? Take it all out and just start appreciating that you're here in this perfect, beautiful body, and it's here to be celebrated. I want to inspire you to see how beautiful and perfect you are. I watched this amazing YouTube video by a young man called Nick Santonastasso. Now Nick was born, he's really just born as a torso. He doesn't have any legs and he only has one functioning arm. And at high school, he wanted to be a wrestler. And he became a wrestler. And then after that, he wanted to become a bodybuilder, and he became a bodybuilder, and he made his body beautiful. It was all perfect and everything was in proportion. And his mindset is just so inspiring. He didn't get born with the bodies that we all think we're supposed to have, yet he uses his, and he loves his body, and he shows it off, and he's so proud of it. And I'd love you to go and just look at Nick's videos, because he is so inspiring, and he will hopefully make you feel inspired about the body that you've been given too. So that's your homework. I know it's a difficult one, but please go and do it and start appreciating just how fabulous and wonderful you are. And I'd love you to basically every single day think about 3 beautiful things that you are, and look in the mirror and say, it could be I'm kind, I'm beautiful, I'm a good friend, I've got great legs, whatever it is. You've got to start bigging yourself up in this process. Life is about loving yourself. You'll get so much more out of life when you truly start appreciating how absolutely fabulous you are. So until next week, have a very happy and healthy week, and I will catch up with you again soon. Remember, if you like what you see, then please like, share and follow, and you can keep up to date with absolutely everything that we do.